Here's my take. When I was in college in the early 1980s, as part of a student organization, I invited Ronald Reagan's defense secretary, Caspar Weinberger, to give a speech on campus. At the time, American colleges were hotbeds of opposition to the Reagan administration, especially to its defense policies. Sure enough, as soon as Weinberger began to speak, a series of students stood up and began to heckle. One after another, they rose and chanted a single line: "Deterrence is a lie." I was reminded of that turbulent meeting because I've been listening to these debates over Iran's nuclear ambitions, because it highlights a strange role reversal in today's foreign policy discourse. It used to be the left that refused to accept the idea of deterrence, searching instead for options like the nuclear freeze. And it used to be people on the right who would patiently explain the practical virtues of deterrence. The conservative thinker Charles Krauthammer wrote in the New Republic in 1984, "Deterrence, like old age, is intolerable until one considers the alternative." Yet today it is the right that has decided that deterrence is a lie. Krauthammer, the Heritage Foundation, the American Enterprise Institute all denounce containment and deterrence and would lead us instead on a policy path that culminates in a preventive war. It is the right's version of the nuclear freeze, a simple solution that actually doesn't solve anything. Strikes on Iran would probably delay its program a few years while driving up domestic support within Iran for the government in Tehran and for the nuclear program. It would provide a much stronger rationale for Iran to pursue nuclear weapons, having been attacked. Yet sophisticated conservatives insist that this route is preferable to deterrence. Deterrence is a difficult concept to accept because it is counterintuitive. The prospect of destruction produces peace, and yet its record is remarkable. Great powers went to war with brutal regularity for hundreds of years. Then came nuclear weapons, and there has not been a war between great powers since then, since 1945, the longest period of peace between great powers in human history. The United States and the Soviet Union had a more intense and far-reaching rivalry than almost any two great powers ever. Each thought the other wanted to destroy its way of life. And yet this rivalry did not result in war. Both sides were deterred. So also with Pakistan and India, which fought 3 wars before they had nukes and none in the 40 years since. To gain credibility with his conservative critics and with the current Israeli government, President Obama has gone along with them, ruled out containment, insisted that he does not bluff, and spoken of a window of opportunity for negotiations. This might prove to be a mistake. It boxes the United States in, limits Obama's options, and forces him on a path that could push the United States into an unnecessary preventive war. Look, anguish over the prospect of an Iranian nuclear weapon is understandable. It would be far better for Israel, the United States, the Middle East, the world, if Tehran does not acquire such weapons. And the American effort to prevent this from happening and to put tremendous pressure on Tehran is the right policy. But were Tehran to persist, were the regime to accept the global isolation and crippling costs that would come from that decision, then a robust policy of containment and deterrence would work toward Iran as it did against Stalin's Soviet Union, Mao's China, Kim Jong-il's North Korea, and the Pakistani military. Let's get started.